We're just one day away from the election. Tomorrow's outcome could have a big impact on venture capital. Joining us now is a man with a lot of experience in the VC world. He was an early investor in Lululemon. His current portfolio includes names like Rent the Runway, Harry's, and ThredUp. Let's bring in Bob Davis, partner at HIGHLAND Capital. Bob, welcome to you. Great to have you with us.
Great to see you. How are you?
Good, thanks. Got to ask you about the election. Does a change in administration at all impact the environment for the kinds of investments that you make?
I don't know if it changes the investments we make, but I mean, I think the bigger risk is a whole period of uncertainty into the markets, and that's the part that would frighten me a little bit. I don't know how it all plays out. If we have a clear winner coming out of tomorrow or next week or the week after, I think we're good. If we're fighting this over 2 or 3 months as to who the winner is and who our president is, I think that's tough for the market out there. So I hope we're not going to see anything like that. I mean, I have a good friend, a good golf buddy that Mike, that out in the course, I call him my sensei because he guides me so clearly in all that we do. And he says, don't focus on the single shot, focus on the game at large. And I think that's what we have to think about when this is all been done is how does the big picture look, not how does a individual day look.
And I want to ask you about the game at large. The game at large, at least for right now, is being shaped by a pandemic. And I'm wondering if that impacts the kinds of investments that you're making these days and how you examine investments now in companies and how they're built for future years.
You know, it's interesting. When we look at a company, our criteria are pretty simple. It always has been, always will be. We think about people, market, product in that order. And then if we get that figured out, we'll talk about the deal. But people, market, product, and really great people build great companies. And that's been the case, and it will stay that way. And we feel great about that. What's taken a lot of getting used to is trying to do a deal virtually. I mean, when the pandemic first hit and we all got into lockdown, we sat around a partner meeting and said, well, of course, we can't make investments without meeting the team. You know, how do we invest millions of dollars into someone we've never met? And lo and behold, we've adapted and we've made some, great deals, but it's changed things a lot in terms of our criteria. But at the same time, there's some industries that have been hurt by the pandemic. We all know what those are, but there's a lot on the consumer front that have had some really powerful tailwinds that have helped them. Freshly, that we announced last week on CNBC, the acquisition of that by Nestle is a good example of that. Really strong company that was growing in great leaps and bounds, but did the pandemic help it? Sure it did. It brought more customers together.
Sure. And the pandemic is also helping a name like Lulu, who you invested early in, Bob. And I'm wondering, in terms of how you look at those tailwinds, do you view them as short-lived, or do you think that this marks a real change? I mean, how many pairs of yoga pants are you going to own if you're actually going back to work and have to wear proper pants?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. Well, we're not public market investors, so I'm not nearly as smart as those guys and gals on your panel to talk about public stocks and how they play out. So the way I'll think about it in our portfolio, we see fundamental change in behavior taking place that I think will be long-lasting. Do the tailwinds survive at the level they are today? Who knows? But I think we'll see fundamental changes. We have a small company up in Boston, Love Pop, that makes physical greeting cards, beautiful sculptures and paper bouquets instead of flowers that can barely keep up with the business in terms of what people are doing. Because guess what? No one's going into CVS or Walmart or anywhere else to buy a greeting card. You're going online and saying, ship it for me. And things like this take a small company and lets it sell tens of millions of dollars in cards. I mean, that's a fundamental change. Who would have believed that 2 or 3 years ago? But so I think that many of these businesses will see a constant and long-lasting change in consumer behavior that will never step back. Will it be the level it is today? Probably not, but there'll be complete changes in consumer behavior.
Bob, thanks so much for your time. We hope you'll come back soon.
Love to do it anytime.
Bob Davis, HIGHLAND Capital. Karen Feinerman, he's somewhat of a legend here in the VC world. He also was associated with an internet bubble named Lycos, which is an early search engine. So he's really seen it all. In terms of the tailwinds, do you think some tailwinds will actually be long-lasting, as Bob had said?
I think some will. I think that work from home, we're going to have more people working from home a greater percentage of the time than they did before, even if we have a complete vaccine that's 100% effective. I just think that change is too hard to undo. But I think selling something like Freshly, that was a good sale, would be my bet. That
do you think it marks the top?
Peak, maybe. Good for them.
Dan, quick thoughts here.
I just got to look at Karen, and I got to tell you, your new haircut is fire, and I'm going to take Karen's haircut over Guy's haircut. That's what I'm going to add right here.
I got a lighting, I got a set issue here.
Yeah.
I got all kinds of
She had
things
to
going
pull the
on.
blinds down.
All right,
This
I'll
daylight
just make-
savings time
I
thing.
know, and change the lights or whatever.
Here's the one quick point I would say is the acceleration in anything e-commerce. Obviously, you're going to see deceleration after the pandemic, but that pull forward and that demand, that's going to be here to stay. And I think that's the takeaway I would have about just some of this behavior that's changed in the last 9 months.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.